Hi everyone, this is the 18th video in algebra series and I'm covering section 10.17 inequalities. Inequalities is a really big subject and I'm going to cover this section in multiple videos. For this video I'm going to go over the main concepts and cover some simple examples. We need to take a look at equations at the beginning because inequalities are somehow equations, so we can do most of the operations that we do on equations on inequalities as well. For example, every time I have x greater than or equal 5, I can add 2 to both sides of the equation and it's going to be x plus 2 is greater than 7. These two inequalities are equivalent. I can multiply a number by two inequality and I still going to get the equivalent inequality. For example, x is greater than 3. I multiply both sides by 2. So it's 2x greater than 6. And as you see, these two inequalities are equivalent as well. But there's a tricky thing about inequalities. Every time I divide or multiply my equality by a negative number, the direction of inequality changes. For example, the same thing, x greater than 3. I multiply this time by negative 2. I multiply by negative 2. This is still equivalent to negative 2x, and right here I have negative 6. But as you see, the sign of the inequality or the direction of it gets flipped. So every time we are multiplying or dividing our inequality by negative number, this sign or the direction of inequality flips. So right now let's take a look at the graphical part of inequalities. Let me show one of these inequalities on the number line. For example, x greater than 3. I'm going to draw my number line right here. This is my 0, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So x greater or equal than 3. So I count 1, 2, 3. I fill up my circle and anything after that. And usually you can put an arrow to show the direction. So the important thing is to understand the difference between these two signs and these two signs. As you see, these two series of signs, they mean greater or smaller and equal, but these two are greater or less than. So in this case we use an empty circle, but in this one we fill up that circle. So that shows that that number is in my domain or in my range. As you see here, if I write x greater than 3, 3 is not part of my answer. Anything greater than 3 is part of my answer. Let's take a look at another type of inequalities when we have two signs involving one line. For example, x is less than or equal to 5, but at the same time it is greater or equal than negative 2. So let's try to show this on my number line. this is 0, this is negative 2, and this is 5. As you see, if I just want to look at the left hand side of the equation, x less than or equal 5. So this is 5 all the way. And let's take a look at the right side of the equation, x greater than negative 2, greater or equal than negative 2. So it is going to be negative 2 and anything greater. And as you see, these parts overlap. So my final answer is going to be, again, this is 0, this is 5, this is negative 2, and my answer is going to be 2 and 5 are in my answer, and whatever is in the middle. So this type of inequalities, we usually use them in order to find the range or domain. So again, we have two main types of inequalities, and I'm going to talk more about them in details on next video. Again, thanks for watching our videos. I'm going to post the Google Drive accounts link on the first comment. Feel free to ask us any question at learnmathfastonline@gmail.com. Have a good one.